Okay, welcome to Doris's Kitchen. And today we're getting ready for a birthday party and we're going to do a giraffe. Now how we do a giraffe is first we go and find a picture of one on the internet. Okay, now if you go to editing, it'll show as 100% and you change that to 300% and then you get it in pieces and then you kind of tape it together so that you can have the actual size that you need for a cake. Okay, so I had to add this extra little piece here because I needed his neck to curl a little bit to make my giraffe. So here's my giraffe. Now if you notice, I had to, first I made one whole layer, and you'll need to make 2 pans because your first pan will only go like up to here. You know, and you gotta finish his head and everything, and he's kind of long. A lot of people to feed and stuff. So on the second layer, in order to give the extra head and everything, and the extra on the front legs, this side back one and this front one and everything, you had to slice another slice. So make like 2 heads and then slice it in half. On the leg and everything, you kind of make it like a drumstick and everything. Slice it in half and then you have your front and your back. And then you just put another little piece for the belly and stuff. So you kind of have to play a little bit like a puzzle and stuff. But he's a layer and a half cake. One on the back legs and the neck and everything, and then extra for, and those are all the extra leftovers and everything that I have. I also made some cupcakes because this might not be enough and stuff, and kind of put the marks of the giraffe and everything. So we're going to bring him to life, and as I do that, I'll continue to talk. Now if you notice on the picture of the giraffe, you know, pretty much up to his knees is kind of like white. There's just a few little spots and everything. And then you got to put all this, the design and everything, kind of like a little diamond shape for his head there. So I put a little bit of dot frosting. So to make the different colors in the frosting and everything, I used 3½ cups of shortening, 1 cup of milk, and 10 cups of confectionery sugar, and a couple of capfuls of vanilla flavoring. Okay, so once you mix all that up, then you're going to want to put a little bit in a bowl for his hoofs, and also for the little hair at the end of his tail, the inside of his ears, his 2 little things, I don't know what you want to call them, that kind of stick out of his head. They're kind of like black. His nostrils, his eyes, and his lips. So you need just a little dish. And to start off, I don't like just the black food coloring because it's really nasty tasting. So what I did was I added ½ cup of cocoa. So with the confectionery sugar and everything, it really sweetens it up. And then you add equal parts of red, green, and blue food coloring. And so I started with 10 green, 10 red, 10 blue after I mixed my ½ cup of frosting. Once I took a little bowl of the frosting, saying, okay, this is what I need, because all you need is a little bit to make the bottoms. And so I separated that and I put that in there and mixed my ½ cup of cocoa. Then I add the food coloring. If it's not quite dark enough yet for you, go ahead and add like 5 more of the red, blue, and green till you get it to the right color you want. Okay, so it's kind of like a deep, deep brown, kind of blackish look and stuff. Then what I did with the rest of my batch is I added a jar of creamy peanut butter, because the cake itself is chocolate, and you know peanut butter with chocolate really is good. So once I got that all mixed and everything, then I took part of that and I put it aside in another bowl. See? Just put that right aside, because the bottom of his leg is just that creamy color, And also the designs on the giraffe will also be that color. So I kind of, you know, put maybe 3 times what you did the black. Okay? Then, with the rest that I have that's still peanut butter flavored, I added some more cocoa to give the darker brown, you know, for his whole body. Okay? So add some cocoa till you get it the right color. So it's, you know, kind of like sweetened with the confectionery sugar, with the peanut butter, and then cocoa, which is the chocolate, you know, and it's already sweetened by the confectionery sugar. It's like a Reese's Buttercup. So it's really good. So that's how I mixed all my colors and stuff. And of course I've done some of this ahead of time and everything because it's like fixing a piece of the puzzle. You know, because if you look right here, this is the first layer for the leg. So then when I made my little drumstick, I sliced it in half, give half to this leg and half to this other, because this is this side of him, to give that dimension kind of look and stuff. And then of course I had to give extra for his face, so that could stand right out too and stuff. And then of course I cut a little piece to do his tail. So I put that just with the medium chocolate, and then I just put, like, you know, hairs, little, which I'll show you when I do the mange and everything. So right now what we're going to do, and one of the tricks is once you frosten this and everything, because this is just doing it with a butter knife, that's all I use, you know, not the fancy stuff that everybody uses, because I like to do whatever we have around the house. So, what I did after I turned around and did it all is let it expose to the air a little bit, and then you can just tap down where your knife may have made marks. You know? So I kind of did that. So now what I'm going to do is to add all these lines. It's kind of funny. It's like a bunch of little squares or whatever. It's time consuming. So I didn't do this all we just keep going and make all kinds of, nothing has to be exactly right, you know, because he is a giraffe. Okay, I got a little bit of that there. Let's get a paper towel here. A little bit too deep in that. You got to clean that off every now and then, just to continue with your design. But what you do is after it has, okay, I got to go back over there because it picked up some of the chocolate design, and I didn't really want that. So you just keep going. See how he's starting to take shape. What you're going to do afterwards when you have him where you want him to be, just down at the bottom, you might want to make it a little bit thicker, only because, you know, it takes a while before you get into just cutting it right off. And going right into just the cream color. And what you're going to do afterwards, see how he's starting to take shape? Is once it starts to dry, you know, exposed to the air, wait a half hour or so, then you just go around and you tap it, just like that. See? And when you tap it, it's gonna kind of like blend in. So it won't look like, you know, you're throwing a net over them, you know. So you just keep going like that. Once it dries, once you tap it down, it'll be even with the rest of that, so it'll look so much better. But this is how you bring them back to life. Gotta look like a giraffe. This is definitely going to be a beautiful birthday party. This is for a little 2-year-old. Now she didn't choose this. Her sister chose it. You can just see how it's starting to take shape. Kind of cool. A lot of it is, you know, just being creative. You know, nothing has to be perfect. That's for sure. Because we don't live in a perfect world. So you see, I'm going to have to go a little bit with the cream on the side here to kind of make the design of his neck a little bit more noticeable. And when I'm done with this, it's very time consuming. So don't think this is something you can do in a couple of hours. It's taken quite a while. Actually, putting it together did not take as long as I thought it would. You know, because I've done other cakes that, you know, really taken a lot of my time. But, you know, you're doing this for love. The joy of a little girl. I'm going to go and add some extra little dark spots here and there on this cream color, just to make it look a little bit more natural. And there's no real pattern to this because, you know, you can look at one giraffe and look at another one and they're completely different. So nothing says there's a certain pattern. Okay, so do you remember the steps that I said to begin with? You start out by making your pan, the, was it 9 by 11 pan, and you only get this much out of it. You had to add the tail on your second batch. So it's like a box and a half to each one. And then I use another box to make a whole bunch of cupcakes because this will definitely not be enough. Challenging. How do you get in between, huh? So you kind of do it and let it hang if it wants to hang. Ooh, running out. Going to have to refill. Ah, there you go. That was a good hang one. That worked. Maybe with my butter knife, I can make that one. Drip down all the way to the bottom. All right. Great. I have put in extra. I'll have to fix that. That happens. You know, you're trying to get into tiny little corners. Patch it up. The great thing about frosting. There we go. Alright, now, a few of these. I let just drip. There you go. Okay. It's time to refill, I believe. But see how it's starting to take shape. So then when it dries, I'll just tap it all down and it'll be like part of his whole being. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to the next one just so I can show you how, you know, they have that extra little hair going down their neck and stuff. How I'm going to do that. It's all about being creative and having some fun while you're doing it. And I'm sure the little girl is just going to love it right to death. If not, the rest of the kids will, that's for sure. I know her sister will. Okay. And these are from Pamper's Chef, if any of you are wondering. Okay, so what I've done here is I started by putting some of the deeper kind of black or the hoof color, put some of that there, and I put some down in there. And now I'm just going to continue to put another layer just to add. But leave that in there because, you know, closer to, you know, any animal and stuff, the fur closer to the skin is always darker. So we want a little bit of reality there. Oops. I still had some of the other colors still in there. Did not take it all out. Let me get that out. I have to use the same tip, and I didn't shake some of that off. There we go. Got some off now. Gotta pay attention to what you do when you do that. Okay. So here we go. Just keep adding more. Adding more. Kind of still leaving, you know, that dark right there. Now this has pretty much taken me all morning. Of course, for some of you that are younger, you can probably move faster than I can. So if you do decide to do this, know that it will take you all morning. It's a morning project. But there's something to do when the kids are in school. See how that's really changing? Still can somehow see a little bit of the darkness. I'll move that right out of there. All right, almost done. And this is how I kind of did the tail, you know, just throw some of that right on, because it's just a round circle one. Same one you're using to make your spots. A lot of people think that the spots was, you go with all the cream color and then put the spots on, but that's not how it's done. It's more like putting a net on top of them and then pat it down into, so that it blends in, to kind of make it look like it's all the same layer of frosting. As I'm getting closer to the tail, I'm just making small little ones. See? And that's how you do that one. Now I've got to continue with my net, so I've got to change my top back and refill. Okay, so you just continue that way and stuff, and then I'll put, well, some of this dark here. Let me just do that right now while I still have this tip on. I will kind of just put spots. I'll tap them down after. Oh, there's one fly that wants to stay. Okay, and I'll tap them down so that it just blends right in, because it's not just cream color, but it is a lot less spots, a lot less of the darkness when you get down to this area. I think the hardest part was to get in between the legs, to frosting that up. That was my hardest spot. Oh, there's a lot more when you get closer, you know, to where you're going to combine them. So I hope you have someone special to make these cakes with. So all you need is 2 layers of cake in your 9 by 11 pan that you happen to have around the house. Trying to add enough so that it looks natural. Okay, and then you'll be just tapping them all down after. And you'll see, you'll look real pretty when I'm done. Okay? He's so cute. Getting in between there is really hard. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed my bringing this to you. And for those of you who don't remember your batch of frosting that you need to make, it's 3.5 cups of shortening to 1 cup of milk to 10 cups of confectionery sugar and a couple of caps of vanilla flavoring. Okay, so now I gotta refill this one here so I can continue with the stripes. Then I'll let it just expose to the air for some of the frosting to start to harden up and, you know, take its form. Now, let me share a little trick with you. You know how sometimes you go to a wedding or any party and stuff, and sometimes, you know, the cake is just like so dry. If you want a moist cake, make it, stick it in the freezer for a day. Then take it out, like an hour before the party starts, because you usually have to eat and everything before time for the cake. Alright, I got that filled. I'm going to go change my, whoop, wow, that wasn't on very tight. Good thing I didn't push too hard, huh? Okay, I'm going to go and clean this one off and continue with that. So if you stick it in the freezer, take it out the next day, a little before the party, and you're golden. It'll come out nice and moist, and people are really going to enjoy your cake. And they're going to think an awful lot of you for having such a moist cake. Because nobody likes a dry cake. So that's just an extra little tip that I use. So I go through a lot making them. And I want to make sure that everybody totally enjoys a fresh, soft piece of cake. Yeah, this is going a lot faster. There we go, and we shall continue with him here. Not sure about his face. Let me see, how's his face? Oh, we still got spots like that on his face. Not so much though. Just little spots. So I'll pretty much be adding the dots on his face as opposed to the big lines. Connect. No, if you don't want to connect, go down to the bottom, right? Yeah. These will all kind of just go in. Not too close to the frosting. just keep going. I'll show you the end result when I'm all done. Hope you've enjoyed my bringing this to you. Be sure to someday join me as a friend. And if you wish, you may fan fund me. That's that little eye on the upper right-hand corner. And I'll bring you some more. Bye-bye now.